London, Big Ben,
Afternoon tea.
Westminster Abbey.
Fish and chips.
Was it all that it's cracked up to be? We'll talk about it in the review. Welcome to Abroad with the Burrells, a channel for travelers by travelers. I'm Coleman.
I'm Jamie.
Do not forget to follow us on Instagram and also subscribe and hit that bell. It only takes 1 second to do so. Today we are reviewing London, an absolute gem of a city, a world-class city. We've been there multiple times and it is worth a visit.
Yes, and don't think that this is by no means a comprehensive list. There's so much to do, but these were the things that we felt were worth mentioning that we would strongly recommend.
So with that said, no further ado, let's get straight into those must-dos. Let's start with the site that we all know of, now called Elizabeth Tower. However, we still prefer Big Ben. All right, fresh off the train, we got Big Ben in the background, chilling.
Under construction.
It was a tower completed in 1859. You'll find it nestled right against the Houses of Parliament along the Thames River. Very tall and imposing, and obviously goes without say, one of the staples of the city of London from a worldwide perspective. And when you're looking at Big Ben, you'll be in the general vicinity of the Houses of Parliament where the English government convenes. Very similar, I guess, to our US Senate or Congress. They do have tours available for you if you want to go through the Houses of Parliament. Just make sure that you schedule it at the appropriate times and see the way that they run their government. Right across the street from the Houses of Parliament, you will find Westminster Abbey, and this is a gem and a must-do in London. It was built in 1066 by William the Conqueror, who was a Norman king that came into England, and since then all the kings and queens of England have been coronated inside of that space.
I crown thee, Elizabeth, Queen of England, Ireland, and France.
Very extravagant. Many famous people are buried there. Of course, the monarchy is buried there. And also you'll find notable figures such as Sir Isaac Newton, Charles Dickens, and even some famous composers. Also along the River Thames is the Tower of London. We're going to the Tower of London. Famed tower with a lot of royal kings and a lot of people were beheaded there. Fun. Yeah. The Tower of London, of course, was at one point a prison or a dungeon where they would keep political prisoners. Probably the most famous people that come out of the Tower of London would be Henry VIII. Anne Boleyn, of course, was beheaded there. Yeah. Cromwell, was there doing his dealings.
If you watch The Tudors on Netflix, you'll know everything we're talking about.
Watch The Tudors, it'll prep you. And what a site that it is. It's extremely well preserved. And the tours there are held by yeoman warders. Yeoman warders are not guys walking around in costumes like we would think coming from the United States. They are actually real decorated soldiers in the Royal Army, and it is a great privilege and an honor to be a yeoman warder.
Of course, you always get more information when you're with a person that knows what they're talking about. But also, they're very comical. It just makes for a very entertaining couple hours that you're spending on this excursion.
When King Charles II died, his eldest son felt he should be king. But an interesting fact about King Charles II's children, none of the 13 children were born to his wife. He was known as the Merry Monarch.
It's actually where the crown jewels are housed as well. So you can walk through there. You can't take any pictures, but you can walk through and see all the crown jewels.
There you'll also see, suits of armor that are housed dating back all the way to the 15th and 14th, 16th century. Also, they have things there that are great for families. They have reenactments of soldiers and people in battle. And so if you go there with your kids or with your family, it's a great outing for everyone.
If you know that it's the Commons of England, tune out!
Sir, those of you who are stuck out for the experienced military commander, raise both your arms and scream, "Ah!" That's good.
My friends, you see his son Roger in blue here on his peacekeeping mission.
After you're done with visiting the Tower of London, we recommend walking across the Tower Bridge. Now, this bridge, most people are under the impression that this is the London Bridge, as in London Bridge is falling down, okay?
Yeah.
Not the case. It's actually called the Tower Bridge. It is right outside the Tower of London. Very iconic. It's a very nice stroll across. Be mindful, we had to wait a few minutes because they lift the bridge so that larger boats can go through. After we got across the bridge, we stopped at a pub, had some lunch.
Verdict.
It's really cool to say, like, I walked across the Tower Bridge. Which brings us to our next point, the River
The
Cruise.
River Cruise.
You should definitely take one.
How about a cruise down the River Thames?
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Because they don't say the Thames River, they say the River Thames.
It was one of our best ways to see the city. So as we're going on the River Cruise, the River Thames, am I saying it right?
Not to be mistaken by the Thames River, as many of us Americans like to call it. It is the Thames River, and that is yet another. The more you know.
We're on it. The narrator is fantastic. Obviously, they add some humor into it. You see a lot of the historical London, but you also get to see a lot of the modern London. As you're going down the river, you actually see these different bridges we were talking about. You'll see the famous London Bridge.
And it's nowhere near as extravagant
No.
as the Tower Bridge.
It's
In fact,
really not.
it's very nondescript.
When we are on our river cruise, we're approaching the Tower Bridge, and our captain makes an announcement that we have to stop because there is a woman hanging off of the bridge
Yeah.
threatening to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So here we are on this beautiful London cruise, and a woman's hanging off the bridge,
Yeah.
and we can't go any further because all the police have it blocked off.
All right. Happy ending to the story. The
Yeah.
police boats were able to arrive and they were able to talk her into climbing back to safety.
Yes.
So the story ended well. We didn't have a gruesome experience on the River Cruise. London is obviously a metropolitan city, but you are able to escape to a more calm and tranquil area of the city.
We recommend taking some time out of your day to go hang out in either Hyde Park, the Kensington Gardens. We visited both.
Yo, what up, gorgeous? Hey. Enjoying a stroll in the park, are we?
London just has these enormous parks, just greenery for days, just lawn where you can just sit and have a picnic and relax. People playing, soccer games. Well, there's football. People really take advantage of their downtime.
And they're rather large too, so even a stroll through any one of those parks will take you quite some time. It'll be a nice workout for you.
Yeah. Next must do, you have to have an afternoon tea. Okay, when you're in, that was really not planned at all. Londoners, you do it right. I mean, you go to have afternoon tea, they give you all the fixings, they give you little sandwiches and desserts.
We are about to have our very first afternoon tea.
Afternoon tea?
Yes, we're at the National Portrait Gallery, and we just have this amazing view of England, London.
Right on the rooftop here.
It's incredible. Very excited.
It's just a marvelous experience, okay? They gave us this tray with like 3
Tiers.
or 4 tiers.
Yeah.
Our afternoon tea and the treats that come with our tea. So here we have roast beef with horseradish, egg, cucumber, and salmon with cream cheese.
Nice.
And then that's what you're supposed to do first. And then second, we have scones
Scones.
with German butter.
Ooh.
And then to top it off with dessert, we have caramelized pork and some yummy little cakes on top.
Wow. Shall we?
I'm surprised we only did afternoon tea once. I mean, I think it was just because we were so busy, right? We had a lot going on, but it's definitely something you could do every day if you wanted to.
And I was later told that we had high tea. I don't know. And of course, goes without saying, every tourist has to do it. When you're in London, make sure you get a good plate of fish and chips. We do have fish and chips here in the United States. Some of our neighborhoods, we eat fish and chips, catfish and chips. And in London, they have their version of fish and chips, which is a little bit different. And for us, the fish and chips in England was incredible. I will say this, Londoners, Englanders, don't get mad at us. We felt you guys had the best fish and chips in Europe until we went to Scotland.
But that's another video.
And that is another video, and we did talk about that earlier.
Scotland has the best fish and chips.
We are of the opinion that
No, it is a fact.
you're hard pressed to find better fish and chips anywhere in the world outside of Scotland.
So good. And he had fish and chips
Couldn't stop eating it.
like everywhere we went.
Yeah. England, your fish and chips are great. Scotland stands at number 1.
They pair perfectly with a nice pint of beer. So if you go to a lot of the local pubs, you can get that with a beer, and it's a great meal. Trafalgar Square is a great hangout. Lots of locals and tourists alike go there to just unwind. It's surrounded by several museums, and there's a few fountains there. There's really close within walking distance pubs that you can go have a drink at. But you'll see a lot of people just hanging out near the fountains, unwinding, relaxing, catching up with their friends. So it's just really cool.
And a really good centralized location.
Yeah.
From there, you can see Big Ben, and there's an avenue leading straight there. You can also leave Trafalgar Square and go straight to Buckingham Palace. So just a great location to reach all of your major monuments in the city. Also, when you are in Trafalgar Square, the National Gallery is right there in the heart of the plaza. National Gallery is great. There you'll find some of the world's most famous artists.
About to hit up this National Gallery, home to some of the greatest artists in the world. Rembrandt, Titian, Caravaggio, Hans Holbein, they're all here. So excited to go in and check that out.
You go in there, you can spend hours in there just enjoying yourself. And Jamie and I walked those corridors and just spent countless amount of times looking at the beautiful masterpieces on display.
Also, we recommend checking out Piccadilly Circus. Very popular place as well. And we kind of thought of it as like a mini
Times Square in New York City.
Yeah, it felt very much like that. Lots of lights and billboards and stores.
Street musicians and artists.
Yo, live from Piccadilly Circus. Wow. I don't either.
Spot to hang out, very live, lots of energy, and you know, definitely a place you want to check out.
Yeah, and all these places are very easy to get to. The tube station will drop you right there. You come out of the tube and you're right there in the heart of Piccadilly Circus.
Right.
Buckingham Palace, fantastic. Nice, big, huge road that leads straight there. Gorgeous walk. Got the flags of several nations lining the street, and then once you get there, just fantastic. Beautiful iron wrought gates with gold trim. Of course, that's where you'll see the famous changing of the guard. One of England's huge parks is right there next to Buckingham. Also, that is the place where the Queen resides. Beautiful sculptures right outside the gates. And of course, you have those world famous guards that stand in place and that people try and make laugh. They're right there at their post outside of Buckingham Palace. So it's just a great place to go and see the trademarks of London.
Next recommendation, go to a pub.
Go to a pub.
Okay, even if you don't drink, go in there. It's just a great atmosphere. It really shows you what Londoners are like. And if you do go in, have a pint, have some fish and chips. It's just a great experience. We just thought it was really cool because here in America, a lot of people, they get off work, you know, they jam home, they have to make dinner, including ourselves. They have kids, homework, bath time, get ready to do it all over again the next day. We notice a lot of people in London, they get off work, they go meet some friends for a pint before they go home. Their days just slowed down and they had a chance to go enjoy some time with their friends, you know? We even noticed like husbands and wives meeting up after their work days at a pub before going home and, you know, bracing themselves for the next day.
Bracing themselves for their next shift.
It was just cool to see. It was almost like little mini date nights, you know? People just meeting up, and couples or friends, you know, just taking that time after work to hang out. We noticed that a lot. It stuck with us, you know, so hit up a pub, enjoy that time with them.
Jamie and I have been all over the world, and one of the problems that we run into all the time is finding a good breakfast.
Yes.
I just feel like there's no better place for breakfast than right here in the good old US of A. However, when we went to London, we enjoyed a fantastic breakfast.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. We love France, but we tried to get a breakfast and it was just like a coffee and croissant, right? And we're like, where are the scrambled eggs?
Yeah, where's my corned beef hash and hash browns and huevos rancheros?
We had to adjust
pancakes
to there. But when we hit London, it was like, okay, we see you, London. The London breakfast is amazing.
Hi, honey.
Hi, morning.
Look what we have before us here. Another wonderful English breakfast. Yum.
Dig in. We had tried a few different places. Our favorite London breakfast, this place called Raffles.
Take note and write it down.
Yes. We went there almost every day for breakfast. For taste and cost, it was amazing. We had 2 huge English breakfasts for £12 total. And it was incredible. We were so full, you know, we didn't need to eat for hours later. Wherever you go, get an English breakfast.
Next up on the list, and this is a total hidden gem, guys. Total hidden gem, and that is step off of the tourist track and go to an area of London called Shoreditch. It's a bit of a train ride away, but worth the trek. And what it is, it's an avenue, and there they have pubs and restaurants, and it's a place where all of the locals hang out, and you get to meet some of the real locals and see some of the real parts of London off of the tourist track. We're lucky to have a friend of ours guide us through. It was just very authentic. You weren't dealing with the price hikes and the crowds, but you got a chance to hang out with real Londoners and share some time with them.
So, as much as we love London, you need to also get out of London.
Yes.
Okay? England is a beautiful country.
So we left London proper for a little while to head out into the English countryside. You can see how beautiful it is. And we're just going through the English countryside a little bit. We're gonna hit some of the smaller villages and stuff like that. We're out in a place called Hampshire right now. It's a little bit of a drive outside of London, but we're just gonna take it in, just enjoy the beauty. I think a lot of people kind of get stuck in London, but we're not doing that. We're trying to see England and do as much as we can. So just come with us, enjoy the journey. That's all I can tell you.
Once you are out of London, you've had a chance to enjoy the countryside. We highly recommend visiting villages and towns in those countrysides. It was there in those little areas where we felt like we got that real, authentic English experience. It was just a little more raw and a little bit different.
For he himself has said it, and it's greatly to his credit, that he is an Englishman. That he is an Englishman. Englishman.
In fact, in those little towns that we were in, one called Bampton in particular, there we walked into a pub, sat down with some farmers from the community in the village. We got to share a pint with them, talk to them, hear their stories. They got to hear and ask questions about us, and we really connected with the people there. It was just a real, authentic experience that was just a little bit different from being in London.
And what really took us there, we're huge fans of the show Downton Abbey, and any of the outside shots when they go into town are filmed in Bampton, and we wanted to go there just to see it because we're huge fans. We had scheduled a tour at Highclere Castle, which is where Downton Abbey is
AKA Downton. Downton.
And so we did schedule a tour there. So they're only open to the public 60 days out of the year where they do tours and stuff. But there's still a family that lives there most of the year. And it just happened to fall in line when we were going to be out there. So, you know, God made sure everything aligned perfectly for us. Really cool tour if you are a fan of the show. You get to go inside the castle and everything. You get to walk the grounds.
And even if you don't know the show, it's just a well-preserved great house. One of the old great houses in England, which are dying off these days.
You need to know that London has one of the most amazing subway systems in the world.
The entire world.
Okay. The only one that we have seen that compares is Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
That's a different video. But London, you're killing it.
Yes.
Okay? Their subway is called the Tube. Very efficient, very clean, very easy to navigate. So, you know, utilize it. With that, you want to make sure you purchase an Oyster card.
Yes.
Okay. That's like a card that you preload all your money onto, so when it is time to take the tube, swipe, 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 you're good to go. If you know that you're going to be using it a lot and you're going to be going to see different sites, it's definitely worth having. It saves a lot of time. So get an Oyster card and get on that tube.
And be sure to mind the gap. If you're from London, you know what I'm talking about, and if you have never been, you'll know soon enough.
Yes.
London during peak season is very, very busy and very, very crowded. A lot of times you'll be shoulder to shoulder with tourists. Yeah, oh, I like that. Do that some more. So make sure that you buy your tickets to all those famous monuments well in advance. It will save you a lot of time waiting in line, and you won't be suckers like we were waiting in a crowded line to get into Westminster Abbey. And lastly, if you go to London and you're looking to get out of London, like we just said, we recommend renting a car for maximum efficiency. And if you do, be aware that they drive on the left side of the road.
He's driving on the wrong side of the road.
I am. This is such a challenge.
And she's driving from the passenger seat. What are we doing on this side of the road, eh? Yeah? On the wrong side of the road, yeah?
It takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yes.
Jamie was our designated driver on this particular trip, and it took some time to adjust. You also need to be aware of that when you're crossing the street. Make sure you look to your right.
Yes.
Do not look to your left. Many tourists make the mistake of looking to the left and they almost get popped. And I've seen that happen multiple times. So make sure you look to your right when you cross.
Yeah, that's gonna be all for our review of London. We had an amazing time. We definitely want to go back. I mean, it was just awesome. We had a blast. So
we love, 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 love London. London is sort of like the wading pool of international travel. It's different enough from the US where you feel like you're in a different place, but it has so many similarities where you do feel at home in a lot of respects.
If you're looking to like take baby steps into your travels, you want to start, but you don't want to go somewhere where you're too uncomfortable, London is a perfect place. It's a perfect balance of difference, but still feeling comfortable a little bit at home.
Hopefully we were able to provide you with some tips and some tricks to make your trip a little bit easier and some things to be aware of so you can avoid some pitfalls. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Jamie does all of our photography there and she does a fantastic job. And no, I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. She's actually really good. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell for notifications. And guys, don't forget, traveling is not just about the destination.
But
It really is about who you share it with. As always, from the Burrells to you, we like to tell all of our traveling family members out there to get out there, make it happen,
and have fun.
have fun.
Stay
Thanks,
safe, guys. See you next time.
What are you doing, honey?
I have 90 pounds of water because my wife thinks she's gonna drink all 12 of these in 4 days in London.
Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah, 150 pounds of water in 4 days.
3 days.
Yeah, there we go. Real talk, this drink's like 1,000 shoulder presses. Yo, and by the way, just for the record, we were a good 4 blocks away from the hotel. This literally weighs like 200 pounds. Because my wife wants to
I'm
drink,
just your air quote wife.
because my wife wants to drink 200 pounds of water
Now you air quote after the 200
in
pounds.
3 days.